Welcome to my lecture class about email and block writing. In this module, we'll learn about email and block writing. In my last class, you have learned about applications and cover letters. What is the difference between application letters and cover letters? This module, we will learn about email and block writing. What is the difference and what are the uses of this? So to begin with, what is email writing and why it is popular? We'll learn the reasons of popularity. Electronic mail, popularly known as email, also e-mail, came into existence in the late 20th century. Email as popularly came into existence in late 20th century. Quickly, this computer technology took over from all our methods of exchanging information, and now it is almost impossible to conceive of a world where people do not share their views, ideas, information. And now all the following are some of the factors that have made email writing such a phenomenon in our times. See, now there is no place where email is not playing a role. In each and every place, email has made its rapport. So everybody will start sending messages and receiving messages via email. Email is also known as electronic mail and it has come into existence in late 20th century. So now, here are the following factors that made email writing a great phenomena in our times. Emails are fast, cheap, easy to operate. So emails are fast, easy and cheap to operate. Emails capture the spirit of the age. Emails offer flexibility in tone and style. Emails have become legal and valid. So this is an important phenomena. So why emails are very popular? Because emails are fast, cheap, easy to operate. They capture the spirit of the age. Emails offer flexible tone and style, and they have become legal and valid. Email writing. Now, some of the pitfalls, a hidden or unexpected difficulty when we write email. Let us learn what are they. Under this section, we will discuss some common pitfall of email writing. So, what are the common pitfall here? Difficulty, unexpected difficulties. Privacy is lost, casualness creeps in, ambiguity impairs communication, virtue is sacrificed, junkyard is always full. So these are the difficulties we find when we write email. First thing is privacy is lost, then casualness creeps in. Next, ambiguity impairs communication. Virtual is sacrificed and junkyard is always full. So rules guiding writing and responding to professional emails. So what are the rules for writing and responding to professional emails? First is pay due attention to your grammar and spellings. This is very important. Pay due attention to grammar and spellings. Nothing makes an email uglier than bad grammar and wrong spellings. Without good grammar and spellings, you are not able to complete the mail in a very proper and good form. Nothing makes an email uglier than a bad grammar and wrong spellings. If you write wrong spellings or if your grammar is not clear, it makes your email uglier. No matter how good your email is, it lacks professionalism if it contains grammatical flaws or spelling errors. How good your email looks. However, you write emails and of course you try your best to get it done in a good way. But what matters is your grammar and spellings. If your grammar is not good and you have spelling errors, it will lack professionalism. Next, write one topic at a time. Next point is you have to keep in your mind you are going to write one topic at a time when you write an email. Emails become boring when they are too long. A recipient is more likely to respond to your email if it is one issue and straight to the point. See, this you have to keep in your mind. You have to write one point at a time when you are drafting or when you're sending an email. Emails become bore when they are too long, and the receiver or the recipient is more likely to respond to your email if it is only one issue. If there is one issue, he or she can respond easily and to the point. Next is be smart in your emails. Next point what you have to remember is be smart in your emails. Just like goals should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound, professional email should state the purpose, the required action, and the timeline for the action. See how our games are specific, how our goals are specific and measured, attainable, and realistic. We will have certain games or certain rules or certain goals in your mind. Same way, we have to, like, what do you call, we have to sketch or we have to make ourselves that email should be smart enough. It should be very professional, and you should state the purpose and the required action to be taken. The required action to be taken. Next, never ever write your emails in capital letter. So this is very important when you're writing or when you're drafting an email. Never ever write your emails in capital letters. Avoid using capital letters when you write an email. When you are writing an email, see that you don't write the whole complete email in capital letter. Avoid using capital letters. Next, avoid using common abbreviations. This is also to be what you call valid reason. This is also a valid reason. Avoid using common abbreviations. Abbreviations are better to use for casual conversations with close friends. When you are making professional contacts, be clear of them. You can use these abbreviations only with your close friends, but when you're making professional contacts, you be clear and see that you don't use any common abbreviation. Avoid using common abbreviations. For effective contact, add voice to your text. Means you have to add some good voice. Voice in the sense, some good points which affects the person. Emails become more effective when you contact your client on phone after the call. They can check their mails for attached documents and to remind them of your discussion. So emails become more effective when you contact your client on phone after the call. They can check your mails and the attached documents which you have sent, and it will remind them for the discussions. Avoid sending spam. This is very important. Don't send any spam. Simply do not send emails to people who may not be interested in you or you do not know. So be careful. Don't send mails to people who are not interested or whom you don't know. Ensure you have the correct email address for your client. See, before sending the email, make sure that you have the correct email address of your client or the person whom you are sending. Sending an email to the correct email address is very important. Make sure your email reach the appropriate person or individual. See, when you're sending an email, send an email to the correct email address. It is very important. Make sure that your email reach the proper person, the appropriate person or the individual. Use salutations and complimentary close. See, as we write in letters or in different kinds of letters you have learned in last class, this is also very important. In this email also, when you send emails, use salutations and complimentary close. A growing sense of casualness generally accounts for the absence of proper salutation in the beginning and omission of complimentary close at the end of an email. See, we have to develop some gestures in ourselves. It's nothing but you have to start the email with the salutation and at the end. If you don't do this, it looks absurd. It doesn't make any sense in sending your email. However, without all such professional protocol, an email sounds abrupt, rude, and lack of hospitality. See, without the salutation or the complimentary close, how your email look? It doesn't look any professional kind of email. It loses the protocol. Protocol in the sense the follow-ups. An email sounds abrupt. It looks odd, rude, and lack of hospitality. Hospitality is courtesy, the concern. If you don't find any salutation or complimentary in your email. Here are some of the salutations and complimentary close which generally make our dictation appear decent and graceful. So here are some qualifications, some salutations which looks good when you send an email. Most of us use when we send the email. What are they? Some common salutation. Dear. You can write it as dear or dear dash. Dear sir or madam. Dear customer. Dear Mr. or Mrs. Dear reader, my dear friends, dear colleagues. These are the salutations you can start writing before you start the email, before you start writing or sending or drafting the email. Use appropriate complimentary clause. This is very much important when you start writing the salutation. When you begin your email with a salutation, it is very important that you have to end with a complimentary clause also. So here are few complimentary clause how we can write. Thanks and regards. With warm regards, with best wishes. Please let me know how I can be of some help to you. Your enquiries are always welcome. Feel free to call anytime. Please call me or send a mail if I can be of some help to you. With personal regards, with love. So these are the complimentary clauses which you can write after sending the email. Next is identify yourself. How you are going to identify yourself? Keeping with an undesirable habit prevalent in emails writing at times, writers do not identify themselves properly. We come across short, abbreviated names or sometimes some initials and nicknames. See, how to identify yourself? You should be very clear, transparent. Some of the individuals, what they do when they write email, they don't identify themselves. They don't want themselves to get identified, or they don't want to be identified properly. And we come across short abbreviated names or sometimes initials and nicknames also. So you're not supposed to write this short names, nicknames or some abbreviations when you're writing an email. Moreover, as already suggested, professional emails are now used for official and legal purposes. See, I have already suggested you when you're using an email, it is professional emails and of course it is used in a office and for legal purposes also. So not writing a proper name at the end of a message that you compose is like sending a check without signing it. See what happens if you just write an email without the salutation or the complimentary or identifying yourself. It is just like sending a blank check or sending a check without signing it. That means it will hold no purpose. It doesn't serve the purpose. Therefore, let us not be in a hurry to dash off emails without bothering about whether the reader understands what we write, and try to take a look at the revised version to understand how a serious message has been reduced in the original vision. So you must be very careful. See, before posting the email, just check whether you are okay with that and the reader can understand what you have written. Take a look, revise the version, and then you can see how far the resume is serving for you. This is very important, which you have to remember in your mind. Next is read and edit your mails. This is also very important. You have to read and edit your mails. So what is the use of reading and editing your mails? One reason why we get to read sloppy, choppy and ungrammatical structure in emails is lack of revision and editing on the writer's part. See why this email look absurd. It doesn't look clear. It looks like a wavy kind and ungrammatical structures are there. Why it is happening? Because it lacks revision. So the person, the writer who writes will not revise, will not go, he or she will not look into it and edit if any errors are there. Because of this, the email looks very sloppy, choppy and ungrammatical. In the sense, it doesn't look good. Since most of us believe email writing to be a part of informal piece of writing, it is customary that a writer shoots the mail as soon as he or she finishes composing it. See what mindset individuals have. They have the mindset that emails are just informal piece. Let us write however we want and we can post it. And they will not bother to see how the email is composed. As soon as they finish writing, they try to compose it. They try to send. We must bear in mind that email writings too are a part of our professional communication, and just as every other professional writing needs to be revised and edited, so do the emails that we write. We must keep in our mind, we should understand one thing, that emails are also very important in professional communication. As just other professional writings, this also plays a very vital role. So we must go through the mail, revise and edit if it is required. So do the emails that we write. With revision and editing, we can really compose emails which are polished and effective. See, after completing the mail, after drafting the mail, we can just go through it, revise and edit if it is required. By doing this, emails are good. It looks very good, polished and effective. Next, email writings maintain common protocol. So, what we have to do to maintain email protocol? Besides following the guidelines principle, while composing an email, we also need to observe some common protocol while maintaining and operating an email account. See, what are the protocols we need to maintain? Besides following the guidelines, while composing an email, we also need to observe some protocols, some procedure, some follow-up what we have to do. Reply immediately. As soon as you receive an email, try to reply immediately. Avoid circulating emails to everyone. Email is sent to you, to your mail ID. So only you are the person who is going to reply. Instead of that, don't keep on circulating the mails for each and every person whom you know. Avoid attaching unnecessary files. So don't attach unnecessary files to emails. Answer all queries. So answer all the queries or the doubts what is sent. To be aware of email jargon. Here, be aware of email jargon in the sense when you write an email or when you draft an email, be aware of the hard words which a reader can't understand. Jargon means it's a very high words, tough words where the reader can't follow. Keep your mailbox uncluttered. This is very important. Don't keep on gathering or don't keep on inviting all unwanted mails in your box. Read and edit your mails. So what you have to do, read and edit your mails. This is very important. Next, we'll move on to block writing. What is this block writing? A block is another word for web block. A web block is a website that is like a diary or journal. See, most of us must have heard or come across this word block. A block is nothing but it is another word for web block. A web block is a website that is like a diary or a journal. Bloggers, a word for people who write on blogs. So people or individual who write on blogs, they are called as bloggers. Often write about their opinion and thoughts. A blog contains video material called as video blog or video log. See here, these bloggers who are there, they are the individual who write blogs, and sometimes they write their opinions and thoughts. A blog contains of video material, which is also called as video blog or video log, usually shortened to vlog. So instead of saying video blog or video log and all, this word is shortened to vlog. A blog is basically writing about something that interests you. In a way, it's a digital diary that you share with everyone. Here, a blog is something that you are interested to write in. And it's a way of a digital diary that you share with everyone. You have personal diary. Most of students, they write personal diary. Here, blog is something, it's like a diary where you can share for everyone. Blog writing is when you write about topics that interest you and often and post them on a blog, which is basically your own website. See, dear students, here blog is nothing. It's your own website which you have created. Blog writing is when you write about topics which interest you, and often you can post them on a blog. Now, next we'll move on. Blog and its uses. What are the uses and what is blog? They can be used for anything that involves communicating or publishing information on the World Wide Web. So here, blogs and its uses are they're used for anything that involves communicating, and it is used for publishing information all over the globe. Common uses include teaching and educational and corporate uses. So this blog is used for teaching and educational and corporate uses also. Your blog can be a personal diary, a project collaboration tool, a guide, or any means of communication and publishing information on the web. So now your blog can be anything. It can be anything. It can be a personal diary or the project collaboration or a guide or any means of communication and publishing information on the web. How blogging could be benefited to you? How blogging is benefited? You can learn in this points now. You can manage your online identity and build trust. So blogging, to create a blog, how this will help you? What are the benefits you find in your life? First thing is you can manage your online identity and build trust. Next, you will learn new things. When you create this blog, you can learn new things. You will improve your writing skills. You could become proficient in new language. You can get technical knowledge. You will connect with new people. You will become expert. So these are the main benefits when you start writing blog. Okay, what is that? You can manage your own identity. You can manage your own identity, giving your identification there, and you can build trust among the individuals. You can learn new things. Your language will improve, your writing skill will improve, knowledge will improve, and not only that, you get connected with new people, and of course you will become expert. How to write a good blog post? So here are some tips how to write good blog post. Everybody write blogs, but certain tips you need to follow. 9 expert tips. Here I have mentioned some 9 expert tips which helps you in blog writing. Being a good writer is tough, but with a little practice and some research, it won't take you long to join the ranks of other great bloggers. See, this is important. Being a good writer is tough, but with a little practice and some research, doing some practice and some research, it will not take long time for you to join one among them. First thing is choose a good topic. So when you're writing a blog, you have to choose a good topic. The first step towards writing a blog post is to pick a good topic. So when you're writing this blog, first and foremost thing what you have to do, you have to choose a good topic. That is very important. You will need to find out what your followers want to know and read about, so your post will continue to get tariff after it is published. See, my dear students, first choose a new topic or a good topic and see that. Find out what your followers want to know from you, what they want to read about it. So if you keep posting continuously, you will get good traffic and it is published all over. You will become a great person one fine day. Do your research. So when you are writing this blog, do your research. Once you have your idea, make sure to research the front page of Google and your main competitors at this stage to see how you can improve on what is out there. You don't need to be an expert on the topic, but you do need to do your research to make sure you are adding value. So first you have to research yourself. Once you have an idea of researching or you're developing the blog, first see the front page of Google and your main competitors on this page. See how far you can improve yourself. You don't need to be an expert, but what you have to do is you have to do your research and make sure that you are adding some value where you become familiar. take notes and start an outline. Next is you have to take notes and start an outline. While you do your research, keep a notebook handy where you can take down the important points and outline your topic. This one is very important. When you are doing research, keep a book with you. Keep a book handy in the sense with you where you can note down some points and outline also. Start drafting your blog post. Next is start drafting your blog post. Now that you have the outline, you can sit down to write your post. So already have sketched down your outlines. You have got your outline there. See, with that help, you can sit down and write your own post. You'll get an idea there. You can directly draft on WordPress dashboard. It saves a lot of time and effort. You don't have to copy and paste later. See, when you start drafting an outline, you can directly draft on WordPress dashboard, which serves your purpose, and you can't waste. You will avoid wasting your time. Your time will be saved there. You don't need to copy and paste later. Hook your readers with great opening. Next point, what you have to do, hook your readers with great openings. In the sense, you have to draft in such a way, you have to write your blog or create your own blog such a way that readers will get fixed to your blogs writing, what you write. If you can hook your readers with a good opening, consider half of your work to be done. See, here this is very important. When you start writing a blog, if you hook your readers with a good opening, consider half of your work is done. See, there is a proverb. First impression is best impression. See, first of all, when they start reading your blog or the draft what you have written, first impression creates a magic with the readers there. Because if your introduction is boring, people would not bother to read the rest. If your introduction is not good, people will lack interest. They don't feel like reading the rest what you have written, how your blog is. A good way to write a great introduction is to pose a question addressing the reader's problem. See, when you have to write a good introduction, what you have to do, first thing is pose a question addressing the reader's problem. Then you can tell them how reading your post can help them tackle it. First thing, you pose the questions to them. When they start questioning or asking the doubts, then you can tell them that how your reading can help them to tackle this. Write like you talk. So this is important. Write like you talk. You don't write as if somebody have to read or they have to rush with that. Write as if you're talking to somebody. It should be very casual. Writing like you're talking to your reader can make them feel like they are having a conversation with someone. See, this is important. When you write as if you're talking to somebody, they feel like they're having conversation with some individual rather than actually reading a post. Your readers will feel like you're talking to them one to one to help them figure out a problem that you can relate to. This is great for building a loyal readership. See, when you write as if you're talking, the reader will also get impressed. He or she feel like reading more and they feel that as if you're talking to them. That is one-to-one talk. And it will help them to figure out a problem. It will help them to figure out the problem that they can relate to. This is why, because it can build a loyal readership. When you write like you're talking, what the major benefit you get is you can build a loyal readership. The sense you will have good bonding with the readers. Make it scannable. Next point is make it scannable. You have to scan that. It should look like scannable. People usually don't read blog posts word for word. Instead, they scan them for the information they are looking for. So nobody keep reading word by word. You make scannable so that it will be easy for them to read. That is why it is important to format your post in a way that is easy to scan. It will help your readers to get the information they are looking for quickly. So they are more likely to stick around your blog. When you prepare your blog scannable, it will be easy for the readers to understand and they can read well, because nobody can stick and sit word by word listening or going through that. It is important to format your post in such a way that it is easy to scan and the readers can read and they get proper information which they are looking for. Use images for visual engagement. This is also important. What you have to do, you have to use visuals for engaging your readers. A simple image has the power to make a boring post much more fun and engaging. Instead of writing very long with complete sentences, words, and just scribbling your blog, instead of that, a simple image can make a boring post much more funny and engaging. A reader become more interested. What you fail to explain in words can be done with just a single image or a screenshot to help the readers engage for a long time. See, instead of writing and explaining in words, you can get it done in a single image or a screenshot where the readers feel comfortable and they can understand very easily. Include a compelling call to action. Your post can't be called a successful one unless you convince your users to take action on this site. For your CTA, that is call to action, to be compelling, put yourself in the reader's shoe and talk about the benefits of taking action. See, when you have to include a compelling call, it's not that easy. You must take the post or the part, or you must be in your reader's shoes and see that you can accept anything. Next is some benefits of guide, some tips to guide how to write your first blog post. So some tips are here to guide you how to write your first blog post. That means for the beginner. Start by introducing yourself. Start introducing yourself. What is your voice? Voice in the sense what you're going to write and your caliber there. Link to your social pages. Proofread, proofread, proofread. That means you have to read it clearly before you get it done. Add images, video, and interactive content. As I've already told, adding images plays a major role. Encourage comments and feedbacks. Whatever your feedback is or whatever the comments you get, you have to encourage them. Don't get insulted or don't feel upset. What is this? I'm getting this kind of comments and feedbacks. Because you must keep in your mind, failure is this stepping stone of success. Don't rush. You only get to post your first blog entry once. So don't rush. Don't be in a hurry. You are going to post your blog only once. You're going to enter it once. Why do blogs fail? Most of the blogs fail. Why it is? Lack of passion. That means lack of interest. Lack of passion is one of the major reasons why most bloggers fail online. When you write something or when you read something, you should have love and concern on that. If it is not there, you will never succeed. You will have failures. So here, one among that is lack of passion. When you're writing the blog or when you're framing the blog, you must be very confident. You should be passionate towards that. When there is no passion, that is the reason most bloggers fail online. They will not succeed. They don't have any passion for blogging and they don't think, they just began blogging because they saw a particular popular blogger making 6 figures blogging. They only went into blogging because of the money. See, just looking at others, we can't do this. Here, why bloggers fail? They look at others who are making 6 figures blogging and they are very popular bloggers. They are doing because of money and they want to jump in their shoes. That is the reason the blogs fail. So what are the easy steps to write a blog post? Step 1, plan your blog post by choosing a topic, creating an outline, conducting research and checking facts. This is the first step. Before you begin, you have to plan your blog, what you are writing, what you want to post by choosing a particular topic, creating an outline, conducting research and checking facts. Next, step 2, craft a headline that is both informative and will capture readers' attention. So when you are writing this heading, when you are creating a heading, it should be very informative and will capture readers' attention. You should craft in that way. Step 3, write your post, either writing a draft in a single session or gradually word on parts of it. So you have to write a post, either writing a draft in a single session or generally you can write a word on parts of it. Step 4, use images to enhance your post, improve its flow and add humor and explain complex topics. See, next what you have to do, you have to use images to enhance your readers. And then you can add some humor and explain the complex topics. Step 5, edit your blog post. This is important when you prepare a blog or when you prepare a blog post, edit this. See that if you have to get it done, anything to be edited. Make sure to avoid repetition. Don't keep repeating again and again the same points which you have mentioned already. Read your post aloud to check its flow. Have someone else read it and provide feedback. It's better to have someone with you who can read your post and provide feedback. How you sound there. Keep sentences and paragraphs short. Don't be a perfectionist. Don't be afraid to cut out text or adapt your writing last minute. So here, main thing is keep sentences and paragraphs short. It should be short. Don't be a perfectionist. Don't be so perfect when you're framing this. And don't be afraid to cut or text or adapt your writing in the last minute.